Dr. Alan Carter looked through his microscope for the 10th time that day. His eyes were tired, but he couldn't stop now. The tiny machines swimming in the blood sample were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. After 3 years of work, his team had finally created something that could change the world. "It's working," he whispered to himself. He didn't want to get too excited yet. Many times before, he had thought they were close, only to watch the nanobots fail after a few minutes. These nanobots were special. Made from a new kind of liquid metal that could move and change shape, they were designed to travel through human blood vessels to find and fix problems inside the body. If they worked, people could heal from injuries and sicknesses faster than ever before. Alan looked at the clock on the wall. It was past midnight. Everyone else had gone home hours ago. He should go home too, but he wanted to watch just a little longer. The nanobots had been active for 6 hours now, much longer than any previous test. He rubbed his eyes and took another look. The tiny machines were still moving, still working. Each one was smaller than a human cell, but together, they could do amazing things. They could find damaged cells and repair them. They could fight off harmful bacteria and viruses. They could even help broken bones heal in days instead of weeks. Alan picked up his phone and took a short video of what he was seeing. He sent it to his research partner, Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, with a simple message: "They're still working. 6 hours and counting." His phone rang almost immediately. "Are you serious?" Elizabeth's voice was full of excitement. "The Heimdall batch is still active?" "Yes," Alan replied, smiling at their code name for the project. Heimdall was a god who could see everything in Norse mythology, just like their nanobots could see problems inside the body. "They're not just active, they're thriving. Come see for yourself." "I'll be there in 20 minutes, Elizabeth said, hanging up. Alan leaned back in his chair and let out a long breath. This could be it, the breakthrough they had been working toward for years. The military had funded their research, hoping for a way to help soldiers recover from battlefield injuries. But the applications went far beyond that. These nanobots could help anyone heal from almost anything. He thought about his mother, who had died from cancer 3 years ago. Would these nanobots have saved her? Could they have found and destroyed the cancer cells before they spread? It was too late for her, but maybe not for millions of others. The lab door opened and Elizabeth walked in. Her hair was messy and she was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, but her eyes were wide awake. "Show me," she said, walking straight to the microscope. Alan moved aside and let her look. He watched her face as she saw what he had been watching for hours. Her expression changed from hopeful to amazed. "They're not just surviving," she said, still looking through the microscope. "They're getting better. Look at how they're moving. They're more efficient than they were in our simulations." Alan nodded. "I think they're learning. Each generation is slightly improving on the last." Elizabeth looked up at him. "How many generations have there been since you started the test?" "About 50, Alan said. "They replicate every 7 minutes or so." 50 generations of improvements, Elizabeth whispered. "Alan, do you realize what this means? We've created something that can evolve on its own, something that can adapt to whatever it encounters." Alan had been thinking the same thing. It was both exciting and a little scary. "We built in the safety protocols, right? They can only replicate up to a certain number, and they'll break down after 72 hours. "Yes, all the safety features are in place," Elizabeth assured him. "We're not going to have a gray goose scenario on our hands." She referred to the old sci-fi fear of nanobots that replicate out of control and consume everything. Alan smiled. "Good, because I think we're ready for the next step." "Human trials?" Elizabeth asked, raising her eyebrows. "Not yet," Alan said, "but close. I want to put them in a full blood circulation simulator. Let's see how they handle flowing blood, antibodies, all of it." Elizabeth nodded. "I can set that up tomorrow. We should also run more safety tests. Make absolutely sure they can't go rogue." "Agreed," Alan said. He looked back at the microscope. "If this works, Liz, we'll change medicine forever." Neither of them noticed the man watching them through the Small window in the lab door. General Frank Howard had been standing there for several minutes, listening. The military had invested millions in this project, expecting a way to keep soldiers alive on the battlefield. But what he was hearing suggested something much more valuable. Howard stepped away from the door and walked quietly down the hallway. He took out his secure phone and dialed a number. "Sir, it's Howard," he said when someone answered. "I think you'll want to hear this. Carter and Morgan have made a breakthrough with Project Heimdall. The nanobots are working and they're evolving." There was a pause as he listened to the person on the other end. "Yes, sir. I understand the implications. This goes beyond battlefield medicine. If these things can adapt and improve on their own," he lowered his voice, "we might have just created the perfect soldier." Back in the lab, Alan and Elizabeth continued to watch the nanobots, unaware of the general's plans. They were scientists focused on saving lives, but their creation, the liquid metal now swimming through a sample of human blood, would soon become something neither of them had imagined. As the night went on, the nanobots continued their work, silently preparing for a future that would change humanity forever. 6 months had passed since Alan and Elizabeth's breakthrough. Their lab was no longer quiet and empty. Now it was filled with people, machines, and activity. The government had tripled their funding and moved them to a bigger facility deep underground. Jack Nelson sat on the edge of an examination table, watching Dr. Morgan check his vital signs. Jack was 32 years old and had been a Marine until a bullet damaged his spine during a mission 3 years ago. He could walk, but he was always in pain. That's why he had volunteered for the Heimdall tests. "How do you feel today, Jack?" Elizabeth asked, looking at the tablet in her hand. "Better than I have in years," Jack said with a smile. "I went for a run yesterday. A real run, not just a slow jog. 5 miles, and I felt like I could have gone further." Elizabeth nodded, making notes. "And the pain?" "Almost gone," Jack said. "I get a twinge now and then, but nothing like before." Jack was the first human to receive the Heimdall nanobots. There had been 12 volunteers, but only Jack's body had fully accepted the tiny machines. The others had shown improvement at first, but their bodies had eventually rejected the nanobots. Only in Jack did the liquid metal continue to flow, healing and strengthening. "We think it's something in your genetic makeup," Dr. Carter had explained to Jack a few weeks ago. "Your body doesn't just tolerate the nanobots, it works with them." Elizabeth finished her examination and sat down across from Jack. "Your blood tests show the nanobots are still functioning perfectly. In fact, they seem to be improving." "I can feel them sometimes," Jack said quietly. "Is that normal?" Elizabeth looked up from her tablet. "What do you mean you can feel them?" Jack wasn't sure how to explain it. "It's like a hum, not a sound, but a feeling. When I cut my hand yesterday, I could feel them rush to the spot. And sometimes, when I'm very quiet, I can feel them moving through me, learning about me." Elizabeth made more notes. "That's fascinating. None of our other volunteers reported anything like that before their rejections. This could be why your body accepted them. You have some kind of connection." The door to the examination room opened and General Howard walked in. He was a tall man with short gray hair and a serious face. Jack automatically sat up straighter. Even though he wasn't in the military anymore, he still respected the uniform. "Dr. Morgan, Mr. Nelson," the general said with a nod. "How is our star patient today?" "Doing extremely well," Elizabeth said. "The nanobots are fully integrated with his system, and he reports significant improvement in his injury." Good, Howard said, but he seemed distracted. "Dr. Morgan, could I speak with you outside for a moment?" Elizabeth followed the general out of the room. Jack couldn't hear what they were saying, but their faces looked serious. After a few minutes, they came back in. "Jack," Elizabeth said, "something has happened, something big." "What is it?" Jack asked, feeling suddenly worried. General Howard stepped forward. "At 0600 hours this morning, our deep space monitoring stations detected an object approaching Earth. At first, we thought it was an asteroid, but it slowed down as it approached. It's now in orbit around Earth." Jack looked between them. Are you saying? Yes, the general said. We are not alone, and whoever they are, they've come to visit. Elizabeth touched Jack's arm. The president is going to make an announcement in an hour. But we wanted to tell you first because the general has a request. Howard nodded. The object, the ship, is massive. Estimates put it at about 3 miles long. We've tried to communicate with it, but there's been no response. We're assembling a team to go up there to try to make contact face to face. Jack began to understand. And you want me on that team? Yes, Howard said. Your military background makes you qualified, and the Heimdall nanobots give you an advantage. If there's any danger, any at all, you have the best chance of surviving. Jack thought about it. He had joined the Marines to serve his country, to make a difference. This would certainly be making a difference. When do we leave? He asked. Tomorrow morning, the general replied. A shuttle is being prepared now. The next day, Jack found himself strapped into a seat on a military space shuttle, along with 5 other people. There were 2 soldiers, a linguist, a diplomat, and Dr. Carter. They were all nervous but trying not to show it. As the shuttle lifted off, Jack looked out the small window. The Earth grew smaller below them, and he could see the curve of the planet, the blue of the oceans. It was beautiful. And somewhere up ahead was an alien spaceship. Can you believe this? Alan said from the seat next to him. First contact. It's what scientists have dreamed about for centuries. Jack nodded. Let's just hope it goes well. After a few hours, the pilot's voice came over the speaker. We have visual contact. Preparing to approach. Everyone crowded to the windows. The alien ship came into view and a collective gasp filled the shuttle. It was unlike anything they had expected. Instead of the metal and glass they were used to, the ship seemed to be made of a flowing, shifting material. It was dark and reflective, like liquid mercury, and it moved as if it were alive. It's beautiful, the linguist whispered. As they got closer, a section of the alien ship began to change. It opened up, creating what looked like a docking bay. They're inviting us in, the pilot said. General Howard's voice came through their communication system. Proceed with caution. Remember your training. Dr. Carter, Mr. Nelson, you are observers only. Let the diplomatic team handle first contact. The shuttle moved slowly into the opening. Inside was a large space that seemed to be made of the same flowing material as the outside. As soon as they were fully inside, the opening closed behind them. We're in, the pilot reported. Jack felt the hum of the nanobots in his blood grow stronger. They seemed to be responding to something in the alien ship. He looked at Alan. The nanobots, he said quietly. They're excited. Alan looked at him, curiously, but didn't have time to respond. A section of the wall in front of them began to move and change shape. It flowed like water but looked like metal. And then, stepping through this liquid doorway, came a figure. It wasn't human, not even close. It was tall and slender, with smooth, featureless skin that shimmered like the walls of the ship. It had no visible eyes, but Jack somehow knew. It was looking right at him, and in that moment he felt the nanobots in his blood respond as if greeting an old friend. The alien being stood perfectly still, watching the humans. No one moved or spoke. Jack felt the nanobots in his blood moving faster, almost buzzing with energy. It was like they recognized something in the alien. Finally, the diplomat stepped forward. We come in peace representing the people of Earth, she said slowly and clearly. The alien didn't respond. It had no mouth that Jack could see, no way to speak. But suddenly, Jack heard a voice in his head. You carry the seed within you. Jack looked around. No one else seemed to have heard anything. The diplomat was still talking, explaining who they were and why they had come. Did you hear that? Jack whispered to Alan. Alan shook his head, looking confused. Hear what? The voice came again, only for Jack. You are different from the others. You have accepted the gift. Jack took a deep breath and stepped forward. The soldiers tensed, hands moving toward their weapons. I can hear you, Jack said to the alien. In my head. Everyone turned to look at him. The diplomat seemed upset that he had spoken out of turn. "Mr. Nelson, please step back and let us handle this," she said firmly. But the alien moved forward, focusing on Jack. It raised a hand, or something like a hand, and pointed at him. "The seed grows within this one," the voice said in Jack's mind. But the others reject it. Jack realized the alien was talking about the nanobots. "Are you saying you know about the technology in my blood?" The alien's smooth head tilted slightly. "It is not just technology. It is us, a part of us, sent long ago to find worthy vessels." A chill ran down Jack's spine. Before he could respond, the alien suddenly straightened. Its body began to change, flowing like the walls of the ship. In seconds, it had transformed into a perfect copy of Jack himself. Everyone gasped. The soldiers raised their weapons. "Do not fear," the copy said, now speaking out loud with Jack's voice. "This form allows easier communication." Alan stepped forward, standing beside Jack. "What do you mean the technology is part of you? Are you saying you created our nanobots?" The copy shook its head. "Not created by us. They are us. Small pieces of our essence sent to many worlds. On most worlds, they find no use. On some, like yours, they are discovered and studied. But very rarely do they find a compatible host." It looked at Jack. "You are the first on this world." "The meteor," Alan said suddenly. "The one that hit northern Canada 20 years ago. The one that contained the rare metal we used to create the liquid metal alloy for the nanobots. That was you?" "Yes," the copy said. "We seed many worlds. Then we wait and watch." "Why?" Jack asked. "What do you want from us?" The copy's expression became sad, a perfect imitation of Jack's own face when he was disappointed. "We are the last of our kind. Our world is gone. We travel, searching for those who can join with us, become like us. It is how we survive." "Join with you?" the diplomat asked. "What exactly does that mean?" Before the copy could answer, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. The copy's face showed surprise, then concern. "Others have come," it said. "They have found us. You must leave now." "Others?" one of the soldiers asked. "What others?" The copy looked at them. "Those who destroyed our world. Those who hunt us. They will destroy your world too if they find what they seek." The ship shuddered around them. The alien copy's form began to melt and change, returning to its original shape. "Return to your vessel," the alien said, its voice back in Jack's head. "Warn your people, prepare. We will help if we can." The wall behind them opened up, revealing their shuttle. The pilot was already inside, looking worried. "We need to go now," he shouted. "There's another ship approaching, much larger than this." "On." They all ran for the shuttle except Jack, who hesitated. "How do we prepare?" he asked the alien. "What can we do against something that destroyed your world?" The alien reached out and touched Jack's chest, right over his heart. Jack felt a surge of heat as the nanobots in his blood seemed to respond to the touch. "The seed within you is now awakened," the alien said in his mind. "Find others like you. There will be some whose bodies will accept the joining. They are the key." Jack nodded and ran to the shuttle. As soon as he was aboard, the pilot launched them away from the alien ship. Through the window, Jack saw another vessel appear in the distance. It was enormous, easily 10 times the size of the first ship, and it looked like a giant, jagged piece of dark crystal. A beam of energy shot from the new ship, striking the first one. The liquid metal ship shuddered but didn't break apart. Instead, it began to change shape, becoming sleeker, faster. It shot away from Earth, with the larger ship following. "What just happened?" the diplomat asked, looking shaken. "I think," Alan said slowly, "we just got caught in the middle of someone else's war." When they returned to Earth, they were taken straight to a secure facility. The president was there, along with General Howard and Dr. Morgan. For hours, they explained everything that had happened on the alien ship. "So these aliens claim that our nanobot technology is actually made from pieces of them?" the president asked, looking skeptical. Yes, sir, Alan replied. And based on what we saw, their ability to change shape, the liquid metal composition of their ship, I believe them. And there's another alien race that wants to destroy them, General Howard added. And possibly us as well. Jack had been quiet during most of the debriefing. He could feel the nanobots moving through his body, different now after the alien's touch. They felt more alive, more aware. Jack, Elizabeth said, noticing his silence. Are you all right? The nanobots changed when the alien touched me, he said. I can feel them more clearly now. They're waiting. Waiting for what? The president asked. For others like me, Jack replied. People whose bodies can accept the nanobots. The alien said they are the key to fighting what's coming. The president looked at General Howard. How many people have successfully integrated with the nanobots so far? Just Mr. Nelson, the general replied. We've tried 12 other volunteers and all of them rejected the treatment. Then we need to find more compatible people, the president said. And quickly. If what these aliens say is true, we might be facing an invasion. There's something else, Jack said. Since we got back, I've been having dreams. Except they don't feel like dreams. They feel like memories, but they're not mine. I see a world with 3 suns and oceans of what looks like Mercury. I see cities that flow and change like living things, and I see them burning, destroyed by the crystal ships. Elizabeth moved closer to him. The nanobots must be carrying memories from the aliens. Jack, this could help us understand what we're facing. Find more compatible people, the president ordered, and learn everything you can from Mr. Nelson's connection. We need to prepare. As they left the meeting, Jack felt a strange sensation in his mind, a pulling like something was calling to him from far away. There's someone else, he said suddenly, someone like me. 3 weeks had passed since the meeting with the alien. The world governments had kept everything secret to avoid panic. Only a small group of leaders and scientists knew about the potential threat coming to Earth. Jack sat in a military helicopter, flying over a small town in Oregon. Elizabeth sat beside him, checking her equipment. They were following a feeling Jack had, a pull toward someone who might be compatible with the nanobots. Are you sure about this? Elizabeth asked. We've already checked 5 people you sensed, and none of them were compatible. Jack nodded. This one is different. The connection is stronger. It feels right. Since his encounter with the alien, Jack's abilities had grown. The nanobots in his blood had changed, becoming more active and responsive. He could heal from injuries in minutes now. Once, he had cut his hand deeply while helping in the lab, and they had all watched as the wound closed itself in seconds. But more importantly, he had developed a sense for others who might be compatible with the nanobots. It was like a compass in his mind, pointing toward people with the right genetic makeup. The helicopter landed in a field near a small hospital. A military car was waiting for them. They drove through the quiet town to the hospital, where they were met by a doctor. She's in room 212, the doctor told them. Her name is Mary Wilson, age 28, car accident victim. She's been in a coma for 3 months. Jack felt the pull stronger now. This was the person he had sensed. What are her chances? Elizabeth asked as they walked down the hall. Not good, the doctor replied. There's extensive brain damage. Her family was considering taking her off life support. They entered the room. A young woman lay on the bed, connected to machines that kept her alive. Her face was peaceful, but Jack could sense the damage inside her. Her mind was hidden deep, protected from the pain of her broken body. Jack moved to her side and took her hand. Immediately, the nanobots in his blood reacted, surging toward where their skin touched. It's her, he said to Elizabeth. She's compatible. Elizabeth looked at the doctor. We need to speak with her family immediately. We have an experimental treatment that might help her. Within hours, Mary's parents had signed the forms allowing the treatment. They didn't fully understand what was happening, but they were desperate to save their daughter. Back at the facility, Alan prepared the nanobot injection. This batch was different from the original Heimdall nanobots. These had been created from samples of Jack's blood containing the activated evolved nanobots. "Are you ready?" Alan asked Jack, who stood by Mary's bed. Jack nodded. He could feel his nanobots reaching out, ready to connect with the new ones that would enter Mary's body. Alan injected the liquid metal into Mary's arm. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then her body suddenly stiffened, her back arching off the bed. "What's happening?" her father asked, frightened. "Her body is accepting the nanobots," Elizabeth explained. "They're beginning to repair the damage." Jack closed his eyes. He could feel Mary now, not just as a pull in his mind, but as a presence. The nanobots in their bodies were communicating, creating a link between them. "Mary?" he called in his mind. "Can you hear me?" At first there was nothing. Then faintly he felt a response. Confusion, fear, but also awareness. She was there. "She can hear me," Jack said out loud. "I can feel her." For 3 days Mary remained unconscious, but Jack could feel her getting stronger. The nanobots were repairing her brain, rebuilding connections, healing damage that normal medicine couldn't touch. On the 4th day, she opened her eyes. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice weak from months of disuse. Her parents cried with joy, hugging her carefully. The doctors were amazed. They had never seen anyone recover from injuries like hers. Jack stood back, watching. He could feel her confusion as she began to sense the nanobots inside her. He knew she would hear them soon, feel them moving through her blood. Later, when her parents had gone to get food, Jack entered her room alone. "You're the one who called me back," Mary said, looking at him. It wasn't a question. Jack nodded. "My name is Jack, and yes, in a way I helped bring you back. There's something in my blood," she said. "I can feel it moving, and I can feel you." She touched her temple. "In here." "It's a long story," Jack said. "But the short version is that you're now carrying microscopic machines in your blood. They healed you, and they connect us." Mary should have been shocked or afraid, but she wasn't. The nanobots were helping her accept what had happened. "There are others," she said suddenly. "I can feel them too. Faint, but there." Jack nodded. This confirmed what he had begun to suspect. The more of us there are, the stronger the network becomes. We can sense each other across greater distances. "Why?" Mary asked. "Why me? Why you? What's happening to us?" Before Jack could answer, General Howard entered the room. "Mr. Nelson, we need you." Now, Jack could tell from the general's face that something was very wrong. "What's happened?" "They're here," Howard said grimly. "The crystal ships. 3 of them just appeared in orbit around Mars." Back in the main facility, the Situation Room was filled with military leaders and scientists. Satellite images showed 3 massive ships near Mars. They were exactly as Jack had described. Huge, jagged structures that looked like black crystal. "What are they doing?" the president asked. "Over a secure video link." "Nothing yet," one of the generals replied. "They're just sitting there. But our deep space radar shows smaller craft leaving the ships. They appear to be heading for the Martian surface." "They're looking for something," Jack said. Everyone turned to look at him. "In my dreams, the alien memories, they always search a planet before attacking. They're looking for signs of the liquid metal aliens. But there aren't any on Mars, are there?" Elizabeth asked. Jack shook his head. "I don't think so, but they don't know that. They're being thorough." "How long do we have?" the president asked. "Days, maybe weeks," Jack replied. "But they'll come to Earth eventually. And when they do..." He didn't need to finish. They all knew what was at stake. "We've found 10 more compatible people," Alan reported. "They're being brought in now for the nanobot treatment." "That's not enough," Jack said. "We need hundreds, thousands. Each person who joins the network makes all of us stronger." "Stronger how?" Howard asked. Jack wasn't sure how to explain it. "The alien said that people like us, people whose bodies accept the nanobots, are the key to fighting what's coming. I think we're becoming something new." Not just humans with technology in our blood, but something more. As if to demonstrate, Jack held out his hand. He concentrated, focusing on the nanobots in his blood. Slowly, the skin on his palm began to shift and change color, turning silvery and reflective like liquid metal. Everyone in the room gasped. "How long have you been able to do that?" Elizabeth asked. "Since yesterday," Jack replied, letting his hand return to normal. "The changes are happening faster now, and Mary, she's already showing signs of similar abilities." The president looked grave. "Find more compatible people. Every single one you can. We need to prepare." As the meeting ended, Jack felt Mary reaching out to him through their connection. And beyond her, faintly, he could sense the others who had joined their growing network. Each one made the pull stronger, the connection clearer. They were becoming something humanity had never seen before, and they might be Earth's only hope against what was coming from the stars. 2 months had passed. The enemy ships had finished their search of Mars and were now heading toward Earth. They would arrive in just 3 days. In that time, Jack, Mary, and the scientists had worked non-stop to find more compatible people. They had tested thousands and found 117 who could accept the nanobots. It wasn't nearly enough, but it was all they had. Jack stood in the large training room with 50 of the new recruits. They were learning to use their abilities to control the liquid metal that now flowed through their veins. "Focus on what you want the nanobots to do," Jack instructed. "They respond to your thoughts, but you have to be clear and strong in your mind." He demonstrated by holding out his arm. The skin rippled and changed, forming a shield of liquid metal that covered him from shoulder to fingertips. The others tried to copy him. Some managed small patches of the metal on their skin. A few could cover a hand or an arm. One young man, a former construction worker named Ben, was able to cover his entire body in the shining metal. "Good," Jack said. "Very good. But remember, defense is only part of what we need. We also need to be able to communicate, to connect our minds together." Mary stepped forward. She had become the strongest of them after Jack. "Everyone close your eyes," she said. "Feel the nanobots in your blood. Now reach out with your mind. Try to find the person next to you." The room went quiet as they all concentrated. Jack could feel them trying, their minds brushing against each other like blind people in a dark room. Some made connections, their faces lighting up with surprise and joy. Others struggled, their frustration clear. "It will come," Jack assured them. "It took me weeks to learn this. You've only had days." Later, in the strategy room, Jack met with General Howard, Dr. Carter, and Dr. Morgan. The latest satellite images showed the enemy ships getting closer. "They're moving faster than we expected," Howard said grimly. "They'll be here tomorrow, not in 3 days." "Are we ready?" Elizabeth asked, looking at Jack. Jack sighed. "No, but we'll have to be." Alan pointed to a map on the screen. "We've positioned your people at key locations around the world. Each one is connected to at least 10 others through your mental network. If the aliens attack, we'll know immediately." "And then what?" Howard asked. "What exactly can your people do against ships that size?" Jack had been asking himself the same question. The memories he had from the liquid metal aliens showed the crystal ships destroying entire planets. How could 100 humans with nanobots stop that? "We don't know yet," Jack admitted. "But the original aliens believed we were the key. They must have had a reason." That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He stood at the window of his room looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the crystal ships were coming closer, and maybe, still running from them, was the liquid metal ship that had started all of this. Jack closed his eyes and reached out with his mind, pushing past the connections to the other humans, searching for something else. For hours, nothing happened. Then, just as he was about to give up, he felt something. A faint signal, not from Earth, but from space. "Hello?" he called with his mind. "Can you hear me?" The response was weak, but clear. "We hear you, Jack Nelson, of Earth." It was the liquid metal aliens. Jack felt a surge of hope. "You're still alive. Are you coming back to help us?" "We cannot," came the sad reply. "The hunters are too many, too strong. but we can guide you. The seed within you has grown. You and the others have become more than we hoped. Tell me how to fight them, Jack said desperately. They'll be here tomorrow. Not fight, the alien replied. Transform. Images flooded into Jack's mind. Instructions, knowledge, possibilities he hadn't imagined. He saw what the nanobots could really do, what he and the others could become. Jack called an emergency meeting. All 117 nanobot carriers gathered in the largest room at the facility. It was 3 a.m, but no one complained. I've made contact with the liquid metal aliens, Jack told them. They've shown me what we need to do, but it won't be easy. It will require all of us working together, completely connected. What exactly are we going to do? Mary asked. Jack took a deep breath. We're going to merge our minds and bodies into one entity. The nanobots can link us together, not just mentally but physically. We'll become one being, large enough and powerful enough to face the crystal ships. There were gasps and murmurs. Ben stepped forward. You mean we'll lose ourselves, our identities? No, Jack said. We'll still be ourselves, but also part of something greater, and we can separate again afterward. But this is the only way, the only chance Earth has. One by one they agreed. There was no time for doubt or fear. The next morning, as the first crystal ship appeared in the sky above the facility, visible to the naked eye, they gathered in a large field. Join hands, Jack instructed, and open your minds completely to each other. They formed a large circle. Jack could feel their fear, their determination, their courage. He let his own mind open fully, sharing everything he was with them. Mary did the same. Then Ben, then all the others. The nanobots in their blood responded, flowing faster, connecting them on a level beyond the physical. Jack could feel the others' heartbeats as clearly as his own. He could see through their eyes, feel with their skin. Now, Jack said, both out loud and in their shared mind. The transformation began. Their bodies started to change, becoming liquid, metal. The boundaries between them blurred, melted away. They flowed together, combining into something new, something greater than the sum of its parts. Where 117 humans had stood, now rose a single being of liquid metal, as tall as a skyscraper. It had no fixed shape but flowed and changed like quicksilver. Inside it, each human mind remained distinct but united in purpose. The crystal ship sent out smaller craft that circled the giant metal being, firing energy weapons. The shots hit but caused no damage. The liquid metal simply flowed around the energy, absorbing it, learning from it. Then the metal giant reached up faster than anything its size should move, and caught one of the small craft. It pulled the craft apart, absorbing its technology, understanding it instantly through the combined intelligence of over 100 human minds enhanced by the nanobots. The giant reached higher, stretching up into the sky, growing taller, and taller as it reached for the crystal ship itself. In orbit, the aliens who had destroyed countless worlds faced something they had never seen before, a perfect union of their ancient enemy's technology with a new species' adaptability and determination. The liquid metal aliens had always fought alone, separate. But humans had done what they could not, joined together, becoming more than the sum of their parts. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. But its outcome was decided the moment the 117 joined as one. The liquid metal that ran through human veins had found its true purpose, not to conquer or control, but to unite and protect. And in that unity, Earth found its salvation.